Hello, everyone. Hello, Jenny.
Hi, Sylvia.
Welcome to Wombs with a View, Maternal Musings with Jenny and Sylvia, where we share our stories and insights into all things motherhood and maternity. We want to inspire you, to educate you, and provide you with options because we found that we didn't really have all the options when we were having our little ones. So, when it comes to birth and raising our babies, options, options, options. So, as you can guess, I am Sylvia.
I'm Jenny.
And welcome. Today we're talking about a subject that can make people cringe. Right, Jenny?
Some people may cringe.
Some people may cringe. I know what, and you're wondering what it is. What is it? What is it? We're talking about the placenta. The placenta.
And today we're going to explore what it is, what does it do, where it comes from, and believe it or not, what you can do with it. When Sylvia was saying we didn't necessarily feel like we had all the options, we had the options, we just didn't know what they were. And you do, in fact, have options of what you choose to do with your placenta.
Yeah, it's
Um,
true. I didn't know my options when I gave birth at all, at all. And in our classes, I know we give people these options and they're surprised.
That said, too, so 10 years ago, 9 years ago, when I had my first kid in the hospital, there wasn't an option to do anything with your placenta. We'll talk a little bit more about what
Mm.
happened and what usually happens. A couple years later, when I gave birth at home, even though the midwives weren't necessarily supposed to be letting us do anything with placenta, it's easier, and it always has been easier with the midwives here in Montreal um, than at the hospital. But that's changed. So yeah, like Sylvia was saying, many people are repulsed by it, and many people, those of us, especially in the birth world, I think you'd be hard pressed to find a doula or a midwife that wasn't at least a little bit fascinated by what we call the tree of life. Um,
Yes, it's gorgeous. It does look like a tree. Why do we call it the tree of life? It's and I think Jenny did some imprints with her placenta, and it does look like a tree. The veins inside the placenta
yeah,
look
it's
like a tree.
incredible.
It's gorgeous, and there's art. There's a whole. I have a Pinterest board all on trees of life. If you want to go and see.
Oh, I'd love to see that. That's amazing. Very cool.
But yeah, when we bring this topic up in our classes, yeah, the cringe factor. People just, I guess they, especially even in the birth, I'll say, "Would you like to see your placenta?" And I'll either get, "Yes, I do really want to," or it was like, "Oh no, I don't." Like
But
it's
and there are all kinds of people that are, it's the same with menstruation. I think it's the same with any kind of blood.
mm,
Anything that looks a little bloody, some people don't aren't super fussed by it, and some people can get into it. I'm personally in the fascinated camp, like I said. I will say, however, when I did give birth, my at home, my midwife, who was clearly even more fascinated than I was with the placenta, I'd literally just given birth to the child. And then I gave birth to the placenta, because that's what you do after you give birth to the child. And she literally had it in my face, like an inch away, like, separating, which we say again in our classes, maybe even to the dads, like, at least take a look at it before they throw it away. So my midwife had it in my face like this. And I'm like, dude, I'm a vegetarian. This looks a little bit too much like steak. So even though I'm fascinated by it, I had a moment right after birth that I wasn't super into seeing it quite so close up.
yeah,
Um,
not right in those first minutes anyway, when we're, wanting to look at our babies and we've just like run a marathon. My gosh, it's like, here's a piece of placenta.
yeah,
Yes, no, I
yeah.
get it. I get it. It's interesting when you look at the history of what's been done with the placenta over humankind. Uh, the traditions, lots of ceremonial rituals around burning the placenta or planting the placenta. People making ceremonies around it, thinking that the child's spirit will come back to its place of birth, or that it's a guardian angel, or the embodiment of the guardian angel of the child. So I was looking into the rituals, and we have our own rituals here in North America that we're going to get into as well. Nowhere we will talk about eating placenta, because that is something that is done in North America. But I was looking for, historical reference, and nowhere is it found that people were eating their placenta before now. And, you know, I don't know. And we're going to talk about that because you have a story around that, Jenny, don't you?
I may or may not. It's new human, and I think that was the reason that humans started to think that we should consume it, because many animals do, and it's the idea. Well, if all the other mammals are doing it, why shouldn't we?
Yeah, it's true. It's true. That is the line of thought. There's a doctor. We'll get into lotus birth, but I want to know. Tell me. What did you do with your placenta? Did you eat it? A little birdie told me that you ate yours.
I might have eaten my placenta. I might have done it, Sylvia. Do I regret it? You know what? I might even regret it. So I was along that thinking as well, and I'm a pretty crunchy person, if you want to put it that way. And the second birth, when I knew what placenta was, we didn't really talk about what the placenta is.
No, we didn't.
Okay, well, I'll tell the story, and then we'll back up with a little sciencey bit. But we did say that the tree of life, you give birth to the placenta, which is an organ that your body grows, that baby is nourished by, that doesn't exist before the pregnancy, and then you have to give birth to it right after you give birth to the baby. So
and that's the wonderful part, right? We're growing an organ. We grow our own
to me,
organs.
that's the fascinating thing. It is a superpower, and most often in the hospitals and at the birth center and wherever you give birth, the placenta is going to, as part of the protocol, be put into the biohazard bin. So that's what was happening. That's what did happen the first time that I gave birth in the hospital. I didn't even know why I might want to do anything else with it, or that I could even do anything else with it. So that was that, and that was fine. And then the second time, 2.5 years later, or 2 and a bit years later, I discovered that people were eating their placenta, and it was the crunchy people that were eating their placenta. So being a crunchy person, naturally, I should eat my placenta. So I gave birth at home, and as I said, midwife had it all up in my face, and I was questioning, so I don't eat meat, vegetarian, but is this also bordering on cannibalism if I eat this organ? I don't know if anybody can answer that question.
I can't.
Is it cannibalism if you're eating the organ of a human being, even though it's your own organ? Anyway.
Another topic.
I'm not sure. And I'm sure there are people cringing that I even have to ask that question, but it does boggle my mind. Because if you eat the heart of a human being or the liver of a human being, that is cannibalism. So if this isn't, or anyway, you see where I'm going. So she had it in my face. She took it away. She put it in the fridge. We chilled it for a while, and then I did decide to encapsulate it. So I did not eat that chunk of organ, which some people do straight up eat it, or make smoothies, this kind of thing. That part makes me chuckle. So there's this whole spectrum of what you can do with your placenta and what parenting choices you can make. And we're all somewhere on this spectrum. And I try not to be judgmental, but the eating the chunk or in a smoothie, that grosses me out, as it grosses some people out. But having it dehydrated and then consuming it into little capsules, which is what I did, didn't disgust me at all. I did do it. And the line of thinking with that, aside from it must be natural because all the mammals are doing it, was that we think it could possibly ward off postpartum depression. Being rich with good
the
thing.
Blood cells, the iron cells.
To replenish. It made sense in my mind that we could use this bloody organ to replenish the blood that we've lost. That made a lot of sense to me. So I had it encapsulated, and my husband told the story of how he brought it to get it done. And because we weren't really supposed to have it, now in the hospital and birth center, you can sign a paper saying that you're taking it away. And there's a number of things they don't want you to do with it. Because, as we said, they consider it's considered biohazardous waste. So anyway, he takes it to. He said it was not that he's ever done a drug deal, but he felt so paranoid. He had the placenta, I guess, in a plastic bag, something like that,
on
or in
ice,
a cool
on ice. It's always
yeah,
on ice. Yeah, don't just take it in a lunch bag or anything. You need it on ice.
And it's a tricky thing now too, because if you do get it from the hospital, you have to go back a couple of days later. I'm not sure how the hospital arrangement. Anyway, I don't know if you can actually consume the placenta that you've left at the hospital for a couple of days. I don't.
Might not be
I
good.
would really, really love if anybody who's watching has had that experience in getting. I know we've had clients recently who have had a rigmarole. So if anybody is there listening and wants to leave a little
Well,
comment or story, that would be really
yeah,
great.
one of my clients ended up taking it home, but then it was a big sticker on it. This has been covered in formaldehyde or something, some big toxin. So
Oh,
she could
thanks.
not, she could take
Thanks.
it home, but then they ruined it for her. Rather than just taking a little piece of it, which they can run their tests on the little piece that they take, but they ruined her
Yeah.
whole placenta. So she was very upset
Oh,
about
that's
that.
so upsetting. Please share
Yeah.
your story so that we can, yeah. So yeah, drug deal kind of scenario. I got it back a couple days later. They're actually still in my fridge, and I'll tell you why I won't eat them again. And I guess, I mean,
Your the
my pills are
pills.
still in the fridge.
Mm.
My son is 7 now. I could compost them, but they're biohazardous waste. No, so yeah, so I ate them in the hopes of warding off postpartum depression. I think that was my main thinking, as it is for many people. And the thing that happened is that I was diagnosed with postpartum depression. And this is just one person's anecdote, and there's no one reason. I don't think that I was diagnosed with postpartum depression because I ate my placenta. I think it's a bit ironic that the first time when I didn't eat my placenta, I didn't have postpartum depression. And the second time when I ate my placenta, I did have postpartum depression. All the factors that are combined. But so when students and clients ask about the placenta encapsulation, just like we're doing here today, I like to give information of where it can be done and why you might want to do it. There are no studies, and there will never probably be enough studies to show
It's
that
all
what we're doing,
anecdotal.
it's all
All
anecdotal.
anecdotal. And the anecdotes, women will say that, oh yeah, I have a lot more energy. I feel better. Yes, it's really about the energy wise and the depression, like you. I think a lot of people are taking them and going that route to ward off the depression, especially if they have a history of depression.
See, and I didn't, and I didn't
That's another thing.
have
Yes.
a history of any depression. I did it
Right.
because it was the crunchy thing that people are doing. I think that's really why I did it. But my thinking, and I feel that maybe anyway. I think that I'm not. This is not unfounded. My thinking was because the placenta is a filter, and some of us are better for different reasons at detoxing than others. Maybe the people who are having positive experiences have had placentas that are a little bit cleaner than mine might have been. I have suspicions of different things health-wise that I have in myself that if anybody wants to go down a rabbit hole, MTHFR, which I'm sure we will talk about on this show, as it relates to a lot of things. This I think I'm genetically mutated. Anyway, one of the things about this particular genetic mutation is that we don't filter things out as well as other people do, so it stays stuck in our body. So this is all, again, just like my imagination running away, but I think that it's founded in something. So I think that consuming possibly contaminated placenta for as many days in a row I did certainly didn't help. So I don't think that that's the case for everybody, and I would never
No.
dissuade somebody from doing the placenta encapsulation if it's interesting to them. Just watch it, because we don't know. The doctors certainly aren't recommending it, which might mean something to some people and might not mean anything to anyone, to other people. But yeah, I never recommend or dissuade people from doing it. But just know that you're eating your placenta.
Yeah. And I think the doctors, I was listening to a show on the radio once, and the doctors in general, I think, are against it. Of course, because like we said, it is considered, it's an organ we grow, but it is an organ that filters out all the toxins like a liver, and that it could be filled with toxins. And here we are putting them,
Okay, so I'm
injecting
not
them in our
wrong in
bodies.
thinking that. Like I said, that was just my
Yeah.
personal theory of what I experienced and what I've kind of seen
Yeah,
around.
no,
So
that is why
yeah.
doctors are full on against it. And like you said, there's not really much research at the moment. Who knows in time? I mean, there is a whole movement about ingesting your placenta, and I believe it comes from one of the instigators is Dr. Buckley. Gentle Birth, Gentle Mothering, I believe, is her book. And she also takes it in another direction as well. If you've ever heard about lotus birth. Now, this could be part of the weird for some, like eating could be part of the weird, the placenta, the wonderful and the weird. But lotus birth is when you do not cut the cord from the baby. The placenta comes out, the baby is attached to its cord, and they
There's a
stay
smirk
that
when you're
way.
talking. You're smirking
Am
as
I
you're
smirking?
speaking. You're smirking, Sylvia.
I
There's a little
shouldn't be
smirk behind.
smirking.
You're smirking.
I'm not looking at myself. But the baby is attached to its cord and they stay that way until the umbilical cord falls off, which is usually within 5 days or so, 5 to 7 days. And the placenta is in a bowl. They put herbs on them. Do you know what the reason why we're doing this? Do you know why people do this?
It's sorry, I'm smirking too. Like I said, we all have our points of what we can. I don't know that I'm done having children. I don't know that I won't do the lotus birth because the crunchy people do the lotus birth. I think in future episodes, one of the things we want to talk about is delayed cord clamping and the not clamping the cord. This is sort of the, we can wait a certain amount of time, or you can wait until the cord falls off. And yeah, so you basically kind of just train it around with you. It makes me laugh a little bit. And I'm not to offend anybody, or maybe we will, and that just is what it is. But if you have comments, if you've done it, or if you know about lotus birth, please, again, leave us a little message. Tell us off for making fun of it. That's fine. I feel like just getting to the toilet to like do all the things you need to do without dragging your placenta along with you is already difficult. That it's like, I would really have to be sold. I would really have to be sold on the need to have baby attached, to the placenta.
Yeah, which is
for that
which
long.
really has
It's
no
hard
use
enough to
anymore.
move
There's no
around.
blood. There's no blood. There's no use for that anymore. I think it's a very symbolic. Could be very symbolic. Yeah, I don't know if I would do that either. I agree with you that just the practicality of having a newborn, breastfeeding, my perineum is sore, and then
I'm
I've
thinking
got
of
a
like
whole.
sitting there trying to heal the perineum. You're like in your sitz bath and like you're so badly need to be there, but baby also needs to eat and the placenta needs to be attached. It just seems like a lot of logistics. But maybe what if the cat eats it? What if the cat eats it?
What if the cat eats it or your dog? One thing I can see, the advantage of lotus birth is that you're not very mobile. So you will be hankering down with your partner, getting naked, all three of you, lying in your bed, and someone bringing you food, or your partner getting you food, and really you're not going down the street. You're not going to parties, right, with your placenta in your bowl.
Who knows, man?
You're not. Who knows? I don't know. If you've done it, we'd love to know. I'd love to do a show on lotus birth.
I think there's
please.
something beautiful about it. But but again, I'm now taken by the beautiful tree of life in a way that, maybe 5 years ago, it would give, or more than that, give me a cringe, that I could very easily be sold on a lotus birth. I'm just not quite there at the moment. So sell us, please. Sell us on, sell us on the...
Well, I didn't do a lotus birth. I did not eat my placenta. I really, at the time, I didn't know my options. And that's what we were talking to you today about, what all of the options were. I don't even remember looking at my placenta. I think I did. But really quickly, they show you where the amniotic sac is, where the baby was, the umbilical cord, where it's attached. So that's all. If you love science, you'll really be into that for sure.
Can I interrupt you? Because we didn't talk much about the placenta, one thing that I hear again and again, and Sylvia has actually slipped it in just like not having enough coffee or something, is that sometimes, I know she knows for a fact it's not the case, but sometimes people think that the placenta is where the baby is inside. So as she just said, the amniotic fluid, the baby's in the amniotic sac, not in the placenta. I wanted to put that out there.
Yeah, the baby is not. It's in the amniotic sac, and yes. Did I say that this time? I hope
not this time, no. Okay. But in previous conversations.
In previous shows and conversations, I did. I let it slip.
But I know for a fact she knows baby does not grow inside the placenta.
I do. Yes, I do. I have learned that.
Otherwise, we're all in trouble.
So the choices, I'm going to leave you today with, what are your takeaways? If you're pregnant, if you're a mama-to-be, parent, expectant parent, what are your choices when it comes to the placenta? Well, know that if you're in a hospital, They will either take the placenta for you and it goes to the biohazardous bin, or nowadays here in Montreal and in other cities across the world, you can ask. It's not a yes in every city, but you can ask to take your placenta home. Here in Montreal, we for a long time we were allowed, and then they were not allowed, and now parents are allowed again. So see how there's always trends depending on how parents and the birth workers go about it, right? Doing lots of lobbying. Bless you. So you can take it home. What do you do with it when you take it home? And we've talked about it today. You can plant it. I don't think the government really wants us planting the placentas in the tree. I don't even think that's legal, but I know people who have done it. I know.
And the idea with that, to me, that is one of the most beautiful possible rituals, is that you then plant the seed or plant the tree, and that tree grows from something that was a part of you and part of the baby.
That is beautiful. I do really like, and I know one of our doulas who used to work with Rock the Cradle did that and had a beautiful ceremony around it with drumming and just it was wonderful, wonderful. You can cut it up and put it in chunks in a freezer, and take those chunks like Jenny said and put them in a spaghetti sauce or a smoothie and take them or eat them like that. I think.
Do you know anybody who's done that?
Not personally. No, but I know I read stories. I read stories, online. Some people do that. I think the majority of people go what you did was encapsulation. So getting it dehydrated, and then put into pill form, and then taking, I think, 3 pills a day or whatever is prescribed. So that's the other thing that people do with their placenta.
Oh, they make tinctures too. I actually, that was one option that was, so the package that I had got, I think it was called Moon Tree Montreal, that's no longer doing it, was the encapsulation and then a beautiful print. So they printed in a number of colors of ink the entire tree. So you see this whole base part and then the cord coming down. Then I had the cord, shoot, I should have got it. They formed the umbilical cord into a beautiful little circle spiral, and then it was dehydrated as well. So it's not stinky or anything like that. It's a really nice souvenir that I have. And then another option that they did offer was a tincture that they could make up, which is very, similar to taking the pill forms.
And then, of course, if you are in a birthing center, well, then it's much easier to take your placenta home with you. And then you even have that option of doing the lotus birth, where we do not cut the cord. We just leave the placenta and the baby. Just know that in a hospital setting, you will never be able to do a lotus birth.
Even at the birth center, they're cool with that?
I have thought so. I thought so.
I think definitely
births,
at
maybe
home.
home births, perhaps more so. Perhaps more in the home, but I was just thinking midwives, but you're right. So perhaps birthing center is... But in the birthing center, they leave it on. They don't cut the cord, and we'll do another episode on that. But they don't cut it as quickly as, say, in a hospital. So those are your options. We'd love to know. What did you do with your placenta? Is it something that you cringe when you hear the word or you see a picture? Jenny and I had debated about the picture we were going to use on our ad, and I was like, let's go with it. I thought it was beautiful. And we see that tree of life, right? And it really is. It's part of what allowed your baby to grow. So there we go. Any last words, Jenny?
No, I'm just thinking, I'm rethinking this lotus birth thing, and I feel like you should try everything at least once, right? So possibly I should get pregnant again so that I should do the lotus birth.
Do the lotus birth, and then we'll come back, do another episode.
And educated.
Thank you. Thank you everyone for watching and catching us here. We go live every Wednesday at 2 p.m. and we are also on YouTube if you're on YouTube. And you can subscribe to our channel there. Please share the post, share the video with all your mom friends who are expecting. And if you want to catch Jenny and check out her amazing prenatal and postnatal classes that are online at the moment, it is jennybeyoga.com. Is that correct?
Yeah, my website I'm a little lazy with. The Facebook Jenny B Yoga Ayurveda and massage is a good
on
place to
Facebook.
find me. Yeah.
And if you are looking for prenatal classes and wanting to talk more about all this stuff and getting you ready for birth, or you need a doula at your birth, we've heard that they are slowly being reintegrated into the hospital and birthing centers. Rockthecradle.ca. That's where you can find me and Jenny. So thank you so much. Like the
Thank
page, like the
you.
post, invite your friends. The more the merrier.
Bye.
Bye bye, everyone.